Desire is the starting point of all achievement. It's the fire that burns quietly in your chest, whispering that you were meant for more. Without desire, nothing moves, nothing changes. You don't rise early, you don't stay up late, and you certainly don't stretch beyond what's comfortable. But the moment desire takes root in your soul, the world starts to shift. Not outside first, but inside. You begin to see possibility where before there was only limitation. You begin to hear opportunity knocking where others only hear silence. That's the power of real, raw desire. It doesn't just hope, it hungers. When someone truly wants something, they stop looking for reasons why it can't be done and start searching for the path that will lead them forward. They don't need to be convinced, motivated, or inspired. They are moved from within. Desire is the inner engine that doesn't wait for the weather to change. It doesn't care if it's sunny or storming. It doesn't ask for guarantees or promise of ease. It simply demands action, and it doesn't stop until something happens. When you want something deep enough, you don't negotiate with difficulty. You dance with it. You don't pray for the road to be easy. You prepare for it to be long and hard because that desire inside of you has already decided it will be worth it. You can always tell when someone really wants it. It's in the way they talk. There's conviction in their words. It's in the way they walk, shoulders forward, eyes focused. It's in the way they deal with setbacks, no drama, just adjustments. And it's in the way they treat time like gold, not gravel. Desire sharpens your mind and toughens your spirit. It stops you from playing games with your own future. It replaces daydreams with deadlines, wishes with work ethic, and fears with faith. You see, most people say they want to change their lives, but what they really want is to feel better about staying the same. Real desire doesn't allow that. It's not satisfied with surface-level progress. It drives you deeper, asking what you're willing to give, how far you're willing to go, and what you're willing to let go of to get there. Because desire that doesn't demand something from you is just entertainment. But true desire, that's the beginning of transformation. The world doesn't respond to wishes, it responds to will. And will is born from desire. You can study, you can plan, you can talk, but until you want it more than you want your excuses, you'll never move. Once you want it more than your comfort, more than your distractions, more than the approval of others, then the way appears. The steps become clearer. And the strength you thought you didn't have, it shows up because you were finally ready to carry it. Desire sets the direction. It's not the full journey, but it is the compass. It tells you where to aim your life. It's what separates those who try from those who commit, those who dabble from those who dive, those who make excuses from those who make progress. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need a perfect plan, but you do need to want it enough to begin, to persist, and to keep showing up when nothing seems to be working. Because that's what desire does. It moves you from imagination to intention and from intention to impact. Excuses are the comfort food of the mind. They taste good in the moment. They make you feel better temporarily, and they relieve you of responsibility. But they leave you weak, stuck, and unsatisfied. Every time someone offers an excuse, they're essentially saying, I care, but not enough. It's a silent admission of defeat disguised as logic. The moment you justify why something can't be done, you shut the door on what could have been. Excuses aren't just statements. They are silent contracts with failure. People don't fail because they lack talent, resources, or intelligence. Most of the time, they fail because they have built a fortress of excuses around themselves and called it reality. They say things like, I didn't have the time, but what they mean is, I didn't make it a priority. They say, I couldn't do it because of them. But what they mean is, I didn't do it because I let someone else's actions control mine. Excuses are creative. They wear different clothes depending on who's speaking. But no matter how elegantly dressed, an excuse is still just a decision to stay where you are. Excuses feed mediocrity like water feeds weeds. They grow and spread until they choke the life out of your potential. And the more you entertain them, the more believable they become. You repeat them often enough, and soon you start mistaking them for truth. I've always been like this. It's not the right time. I'll do it when I'm ready. These aren't facts, they're fences. They don't protect you, they limit you. They don't help you prepare, they help you procrastinate. And procrastination backed by an excuse becomes a lifestyle of avoidance. People who live in excuses also live in fear. They fear failing, but even more than that, they fear being exposed. Because when you try and don't succeed, the truth is revealed, and many people aren't ready for that level of honesty with themselves. So they stay safe, they play small. They call their fear wisdom and their laziness balance. But you'll never hear a winner talking about why something couldn't be done. Winners talk about what they did to overcome. They don't speak the language of limits. They speak the language of solutions. What makes excuses so dangerous is that they offer immediate relief and long-term regret. You feel better now, but you pay for it later. You miss the opportunities, the progress, the growth, all because you told yourself a story that made quitting acceptable. That's what an excuse is: a permission slip to settle, a hall pass out of responsibility, a free ticket to tomorrow that you never use. And it's not just about work or goals. It's about how you live your entire life. Excuses creep into your health, your relationships, your mindset. I'm too tired to exercise. I'm too busy to call my parents. I'm not strong enough to say no. These aren't harmless statements. They are declarations of what you've allowed to be more powerful than your purpose. Because when you let an excuse drive, you become a passenger in your own life. The truth is, everyone has a reason not to try. Everyone has a past, a wound, a failure, a challenge. But not everyone lets those reasons become excuses. Some use them as fuel. They flip the narrative. Instead of saying, I can't because, they ask, how can I despite? And that one change in question changes everything else. That's the turning point. When you stop looking for reasons to stop and start looking for reasons to start. Excuses never produce anything of value. They don't build businesses, strengthen families, or write books. They don't build muscles, mend relationships, or develop character. They only protect ego and delay transformation. And while they may keep you from the pain of effort, they also keep you from the pride of achievement. When you decide to stop making excuses, you reclaim control. You stop blaming, stop deflecting, and start doing. You step out of the crowd of the average and into the arena of the committed. And that's where real progress begins, not with the perfect conditions, but with the decision to stop explaining why you can't and start proving that you can. When someone is truly committed, they stop asking whether something is possible and start asking how to make it happen. The committed don't wait for doors to open. They learn how to build doors, knock on every one, or climb through the window if they must. For them, there is no backup plan, no middle ground, no waiting for permission. There is only forward. Commitment doesn't entertain options that we can resolve. It doesn't flirt with doubt. It walks straight into the fire because it knows that the only way out is through. And while the uncommitted look for signs or shortcuts, the committed make paths where none existed. Many people think they're committed when they're actually just interested. Interest listens to motivation, but commitment listens to the mission. Interest backs out when things get hard, but commitment digs deeper. Commitment is that inner contract you sign with yourself that says, no matter how long it takes, no matter how hard it gets, I'm not stopping. I may cry, stumble, or bleed, but I won't back off. That kind of resolve bends reality because it refuses to accept defeat. When you live with that kind of commitment, you start to see options others miss. You hear opportunity in rejection. You find lessons in failure. You gain strength from resistance. The person who is committed doesn't need ideal circumstances. They work with what they have. They don't have time to complain about what's missing. They get creative with what's available. They don't sit around waiting for everything to line up. They move anyway because they understand that progress isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. And persistence comes from commitment, not convenience. If you only move when it's easy, you'll never move far. But when you're committed, you move when it's raining, when it's lonely, when it's frustrating, and when nothing seems to be working, because you've already decided that quitting is not on the list. You've seen this in people who succeed. Their stories aren't filled with lucky breaks or effortless wins. They're filled with sleepless nights, closed doors, and no after no, until finally, one yes changes everything. But that yes doesn't come by accident. It comes because they didn't give up at the 20th no. They weren't looking for a way out. They were too busy finding a way forward. They didn't wait to feel like it. They acted from decision, not emotion. Because they were committed long before the result showed up. The power of commitment is that it makes you resourceful. Suddenly, the lack of money becomes a challenge to overcome, not an excuse to retreat. The absence of support becomes a reason to strengthen your inner voice. Obstacles that used to intimidate now become milestones. You start saying things like, I'll find a way. There has to be a way, or I'll make a way if I have to. That kind of talk comes from people who have burned the bridge back to average and lit the path toward greatness with nothing but their grit. The world respects commitment. It rewards those who keep showing up. People begin to take notice when they see someone who doesn't waver. Opportunities start to open, not because the path got easier, but because the person became stronger. The storm doesn't stop just because you're committed, but commitment gives you the mindset to navigate through it without losing direction. When someone truly commits, they stop focusing on what they can't control and start maximizing what they can. They may not control the economy, but they control their attitude. They may not control the timing, but they control their effort. They may not control who believes in them, but they control whether or not they believe in themselves. And those small decisions made consistently create momentum. That momentum becomes movement, and that movement becomes a result, not overnight, not magically, but eventually and undeniably. That's why the committed always find a way, not because they had more luck or more talent, but because they made fewer excuses. They decided, and once the decision was made, every action, every choice, and every thought pointed in the same direction. No plan B, no fallback, no negotiation. Just one direction, one mission, and a determination so strong that even failure begins to doubt itself. Desire is the spark, but discipline is the fuel that keeps the fire alive long after the initial excitement fades. Everyone has dreams. Everyone has a wish list of what they want in life. A better body, a stronger bank account, deeper relationships, more freedom, more impact. But very few are willing to do the boring, repetitive, and sometimes thankless work required to bring those dreams to life. That's where discipline enters. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It asks what you said you'd do. It doesn't care about moods, motivation, or circumstances. It's the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It's easy to be excited when you start. It's easy to set goals, write affirmations, and make declarations about who you want to become. But none of that moves the needle without action, and not just one-time action. Repeated, consistent, unglamorous action. Waking up earlier than your comfort. Saying no when temptation offers something easy. Showing up to the work when no one claps, no one notices, and nothing seems to be changing. That's the territory of discipline. It's not loud. It's not flashy. But it builds results that last because it works silently, like a bricklayer building a foundation. One small act stacked on another and another and another, until one day you're standing on a life you once only imagined. The truth is, wishing is cheap. It doesn't cost you anything to hope. Anyone can make a vision board or talk about their goals over coffee. But discipline costs you comfort, and comfort is expensive when it's all you've ever known. Discipline takes things from the realm of possibility and forces them into reality by demanding a price. And that price is effort, consistency, sacrifice, and sometimes pain. Discipline is what makes you get up after failing. It's what makes you try again after hearing no. It's what makes you walk alone when others have quit. Discipline is not something you're born with. It's something you build. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And the less you use it, the weaker it becomes. The dangerous part is that a lack of discipline doesn't just lead to failure. It leads to habits, and habits create your character. If you get in the habit of sleeping in, skipping work, avoiding hard conversations, quitting when it's inconvenient, you start turning yourself into someone who settles. On the other hand, when you show up when it's hard, stick to your word, and choose responsibility over comfort, you start turning yourself into someone others can trust, and more importantly, someone you can trust. The bridge between where you are and where you want to be is paved with daily decisions, not once while heroic moments, but everyday commitments. Making the call when it's uncomfortable, showing up to the gym when your body wants rest, studying when you'd rather scroll, saving when it's easier to spend. These aren't massive moves, but they carry massive weight. Because while motivation lifts you off the ground, it's discipline that takes you the distance. The people who go far in life are rarely the ones who were the most talented. They are the ones who were most consistent. They didn't just act when it felt good. They acted when it felt pointless. And that's the key. Discipline helps you move forward even when the reward is invisible, even when it feels like nothing is working. Because discipline knows that results don't come overnight, they come over time. There's a reason people envy the results but avoid the routine. The routine is boring. The routine is repetitive. But that's what works. Discipline isn't glamorous, but it's powerful. It's doing the right thing when no one's watching. It's being loyal to your future, even when the present feels uncomfortable. It's trading momentary ease for long-term pride. And every time you choose discipline over distraction, you take one more step across the bridge from wish to reality. Your destiny isn't shaped by one grand moment, one lucky break, or one big opportunity. It's shaped by the small, often unnoticed decisions you make every single day. These small choices accumulate like drops of water filling a reservoir. At first, they seem insignificant. Choosing to wake up an hour earlier, choosing to read instead of watch, choosing to stay focused when your mind wants to wander, choosing to save instead of spend. Each choice by itself doesn't feel life-altering, but over time they become the very structure of your future. Most people don't fail because of one massive mistake. They fail because they consistently made tiny decisions that slowly moved them away from what they truly wanted. They hit snooze one too many times. They skipped workouts thinking it didn't matter. They delayed projects thinking tomorrow would be better. And then they look up one day and realize they're far from where they intended to be, not because of bad luck or misfortune, but because of consistent neglect of the small things. That's the hidden danger. Small bad decisions don't scream, they whisper. But their effects shout later. The people who build lives of significance understand this truth. Success is nothing more than the result of disciplined, purposeful repetition. They don't wait for inspiration. They build routines. They don't gamble their futures on once innate lifetime opportunities. They invest in daily habits. They understand that character isn't revealed in how you handle the spotlight. It's revealed in what you do when no one is looking. That's where strength is built. That's where focus is forged. That's where identity is formed. When you choose to do the hard thing today, you make tomorrow easier. When you choose the easy thing today, you make tomorrow harder. It's that simple. Each time you say no to a distraction, you say yes to your vision. Each time you delay gratification, you strengthen your resolve. These are the daily decisions that compound. They don't make headlines, but they make history in your life. The challenge is they require patience. They demand trust in a process that doesn't offer instant proof. But if you can stay committed to the process, the results will take care of themselves. Life doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you consistently choose. You can want health, but if you choose sugar every day, your decisions are louder than your desire. You can want success, but if you choose procrastination daily, your decisions cancel your dream. Your calendar, your bank account, your body, your relationships, they all keep an honest record of your daily decisions. You can't fake consistency. You either make the right choices repeatedly or you don't. What separates those who succeed from those who don't isn't that one group had more talent or better opportunities. It's that one group respected the power of small decisions. They knew that showing up when it was boring mattered. That finishing what they started, even when no one clapped, mattered. That saying yes to discipline and no to distraction over and over again would eventually lead them somewhere significant. And it did. Not because they got lucky, but because they got serious about the little things. There's power in realizing that your future is being built today in the ordinary routine hours of your life. Not next week. Not after the new year. Not when the timing is perfect. Right now, the food you eat, the thoughts you entertain, the conversations you choose, the effort you give. These things are the architects of your future. And if you can master today, you'll be trusted with tomorrow. If you can win the small battles, you'll be ready for the big ones. It's not about making giant leaps once in a while. It's about taking small, deliberate steps every day. Steps that align with your values. Steps that support your vision. Steps that remind you who you are and who you are becoming. And while others are waiting for a miracle, you're becoming the miracle by doing what they're unwilling to do. Committing to small, daily decisions that define your destiny. There's a quiet pain that follows people who live by excuses. It doesn't show up right away. At first, excuses feel comforting. They protect you from discomfort, shield you from judgment, and give you a reason to avoid the hard path. But eventually, that shield becomes a prison. You start to notice the years going by, the goals untouched, the dreams fading into memories of what could have been. Regret doesn't scream, it whispers. It taps you on the shoulder during quiet moments and reminds you that you settled. And the worst part is you realize that it wasn't anyone else's fault. It was yours. Not because life was unfair, but because you chose comfort over action, safety over risk, and reasons over results. Regret is the price you pay when you trade action for excuse. And it doesn't just cost you achievements. It costs you your confidence. Every time you say you'll start tomorrow and don't, a piece of your belief in yourself fades. Every time you talk about what you're going to do and fail to follow through, your word becomes weaker, not just in the eyes of others, but in your own. Eventually, you stop believing yourself. You don't trust your own promises. That's the slow erosion of character that excuses create, and the people around you can feel it. They stop expecting results from you because they've heard the same old reasons for years. They stop believing in your potential, not because you lack it, but because you never acted on it. On the other hand, the person who chooses action may struggle, may stumble, and may even fail, but they never live in regret. They may have bruises, but they also have progress. They may have lost battles, but they also have stories of courage. Action takers don't sit around waiting for the perfect moment. They create it. They know that results don't come to those who wait, results come to those who work. They understand that movement creates momentum. And even if they don't get it right the first time, they grow. They gain clarity. They build strength, because action, even imperfect action, is always better than perfect intentions. The beauty of action is that it compounds. Each step taken, each effort made adds up. And even when progress feels invisible, it's happening. Something inside of you is changing. Your mindset sharpens. Your habits solidify. Your confidence expands. You begin to think differently. You walk with more purpose. You speak with more conviction. That's what results do. They shape your identity. And the more you act, the more you become the kind of person who takes control instead of making excuses. Excuses often disguise themselves as logic. I don't have time. I don't have the right resources. I'm not ready yet. But the truth is, you will never feel ready. You will never have perfect circumstances. And you will never rise above your current reality by doing nothing about it. At some point, you have to decide that taking the next step, even a small one, is better than sitting still. You don't have to climb the entire mountain today, but you do have to take a step, and then another, and then another. That's how results are built, step by step, action by action, decision by decision. There are two types of pain in life, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. One is temporary, the other is permanent. One makes you better, the other makes you bitter. Action takers choose the first, knowing that hard work today leads to peace tomorrow. Excuse makers choose the second, hoping that delay will somehow turn into progress, but it never does, because nothing moves until you do. If you look at anyone who's done something meaningful with their life, built a business, changed their health, repaired a relationship, developed a skill, it wasn't because they had fewer problems or more advantages. It was because they took action in spite of their fears, their doubts, their discomforts. They were willing to look foolish for a season in order to be fulfilled for a lifetime. They knew that every excuse might save them from effort today, but would rob them of pride tomorrow. So they chose action again and again, not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. And that decision made all the difference between a life filled with what ifs and a life filled with I did. In the end, the truth is simple yet profound. If you really want something, you will find a way to make it happen. Your desire will guide you, your commitment will fuel you, and your discipline will carry you across the bridge from dreams to reality. Excuses only serve to hold you back, locking you in a cycle of regret and missed opportunities. But those who choose action, who make daily decisions aligned with their goals, will discover that every small step builds momentum and leads to lasting results. Life rewards those who refuse to settle for excuses and instead show up, persist, and push forward no matter the obstacles. The path may not always be easy, but when you decide to find a way instead of an excuse, you claim your power to shape your own destiny.